kind of like give their relationship a try. A few of them, like, or one of them put in a transfer to take a sideways move to another department. So they weren't reporting to the same boss. They tried to keep everything above board. There's ways that you can make it work, but it does seem like this gentleman is.
The night was supposed to be about music, lights, and Coldplay's greatest hits. But what happened between songs launched a career-ending disaster. Not on stage, not in the crowd, but in the dead silence between two married executives caught doing what they swore they never would. While Chris Martin crooned, the stadium's kiss cam landed on a pair who stiffened instead of smiling. She leaned in, he pulled away. And within seconds, the internet exploded. But sources close to the situation say the real show didn't happen in public. It happened at 3:47 a.m., when Kristen Kitt allegedly began what would become the most unhinged digital spiral of the year. 47 text messages, one woman's total unraveling, and a corporate CEO on the edge of PR meltdown.
Company, and that it seems there was some issues to do with the way that employees were treated and stocks, etc. It gets quite complicated. I'm not surprised that all this stuff is going to come out. It is probably going to get uglier.
At first, the footage was just awkward. A woman trying too hard to act natural, leaning toward a man who looked like he'd seen a ghost. According to multiple reports, that man was Andy Byron, CEO of a $50 million tech firm called Astronomer. The woman beside him, his company's head of HR, Kristen Kitt, and notably, not his wife. What started as a harmless camera gag quickly spiraled into a full-blown scandal. Within minutes, viewers across the world began dissecting their body language, digging up identities, and connecting dots. But while everyone was focused on the awkward kiss that never happened, sources say something far more damaging was happening off-camera. According to insiders, Kristen didn't just panic, she broke. Her phone lit up like a distress beacon, bombarding Byron with emotional messages that some sources have since described as blackmail in real time. Insiders claim Kristen's first message hit Andy's phone at exactly 3:47 a.m. She wrote, "Andy, are you awake? I can't sleep. I keep seeing that moment over and over. The way you looked at me, or didn't." That one message set off a firestorm of digital desperation. Over the next 3 hours, she would allegedly send message after message, each one more emotional, more erratic, and more dangerous than the last. "You can't ghost me. Not after everything. I gave up everything for you," one text reportedly read. Industry sources say Kristen's messages referenced late nights in the office, broken promises, and even her role in shielding Andy from internal investigations. But here's the part that floored everyone. According to multiple reports, one of Kristen's texts hinted at being pregnant. Whether true or not, that single message is what allegedly sent Andy Byron into full-blown panic mode and triggered what would become the most expensive damage control campaign of his career. Because if the texts are to be believed, Kristen wasn't just heartbroken, she was holding receipts. And according to insiders, what she threatened to reveal could destroy not just Andy Byron, but Astronomer itself.
I mean, the only thing more embarrassing and horrible than, finding out your spouse is cheating on you is finding out with the rest of the world. So it was brutal, I was cringing, and I can't believe I've now seen it 600 times.
Sources close to the situation say the most disturbing part of Kristen's meltdown wasn't how many messages she sent. It was what they contained. At 3:51 a.m., just 4 minutes after her opening text, she allegedly followed up with, "You can't ghost me, not after everything. I gave up everything for you, my marriage, my reputation, my peace of mind. You owe me a response." And that's when, according to insiders, things went from sad to dangerous. In less than 10 minutes, Kristen had already invoked guilt, sacrifice, and entitlement. But reports suggest she wasn't done. Not even close. Her next few texts read like a screenplay of spiraling emotion, each one more volatile than the last. By 4:23 a.m., she had allegedly sent what one company insider later described as a digital act of self-destruction. In that message, Kristen reportedly wrote, "I protected you. I kept your secrets. I covered for you when the board started asking questions. Don't leave me out here alone to burn while you save yourself." According to sources, this was the moment Andy Byron realized this wasn't just an emotional outburst, it was a threat. She was no longer just grieving the relationship, she was reminding him she had leverage. Documents, emails, internal knowledge of corporate dealings that, if made public, could collapse not just reputations, but careers, stock value, and possibly trigger legal action. And she was putting it all in writing. Insiders reveal that by the time the clock struck 5:15 a.m., Kristen had shifted from hurt to hostile.
Byron resigned from his position after two people believed to be him and Cabot were involved in a viral moment at a recent Coldplay concert that led to allegations he was having an affair. 3 days after the July 16th concert in Foxborough, Massachusetts, Astronomer released another statement on behalf of the company announcing that its board of directors had launched a formal investigation into the matter and would have additional details to share very shortly.
"We talked about this, Andy," she allegedly wrote. "We talked about clearing space in our lives. You promised me we'd be together once the timing was right." Reports suggest she went on to accuse him of stringing her along, claiming he had said his marriage was just for show and that he was only staying for the kids. Sources close to Andy say he didn't respond, not even once, but the silence only seemed to intensify her messages. Her language allegedly became more erratic, her demands more urgent, and her tone increasingly unpredictable. And then came the message that changed everything. According to multiple reports, Kristen's 6:33 a.m. text is the one that broke Andy. She wrote, "If you walk away now, you're not just walking away from me, you're walking away from both of us." Insiders suggest that text was Kristen's way of hinting at a pregnancy. No photo, no test, no confirmation, just implication. And it worked. Sources say Andy immediately contacted his lawyer, brought in a top-tier PR crisis team, and blocked Kristen on every platform. The panic was real, and now the fallout was inevitable. By sunrise, the internet had already caught fire. But while the memes spread, the damage behind the scenes was reaching a boiling point. According to multiple reports, Kristen's final texts didn't stop with a pregnancy hint. After being blocked, she allegedly used a second phone number to contact Andy again. But this time, the tone had shifted entirely. Sources say these weren't desperate pleas, they were warnings. She allegedly wrote, "Don't forget, I covered for you when the SEC started sniffing around. Don't forget, I have copies of everything. Don't forget, I know where all the bodies are buried." Industry insiders claim those threats sent shockwaves through Astronomer's executive suite. Because according to sources familiar with the company's inner workings, Kristen wasn't bluffing. She'd been in HR for nearly a decade. She had access to emails, internal memos, and possibly confidential conversations. Reports suggest that during the course of her relationship with Andy, she had saved screenshots of private messages, discussions about stock allocations, and sensitive documents involving hiring practices. Now, with her back against the wall, she was allegedly ready to use them. As Kristen's digital spiral went nuclear, the outside world began to take notice. At exactly 10:08 a.m., Entertainment Tonight published the exclusive that would send the story viral. According to witnesses, Kristen had been spotted outside her New Hampshire mansion wearing an oversized cardigan, hair in a messy bun, watering plants like nothing had happened. But sources say what viewers noticed most wasn't the cardigan. It was the missing ring. Her left hand, completely bare. That wedding band she'd worn for 15 years? Gone. And in that moment, the internet crowned her the queen of self-destruction. The memes came instantly. From boardroom to backyard, she traded her corner office for a corner garden? TikTok dubbed her the garden snake, a reference to both her alleged betrayal and her newfound outdoor hobby. But behind the jokes, insiders say something darker was brewing. Kristen wasn't just a viral punchline. She was now a liability. And according to legal experts quoted in Business Insider, if she did in fact have access to protected internal documents and was threatening to use them, she could face legal consequences of her own. But here's where it gets even messier. Sources tell us that Meghan Carry-On, Andy's wife, had already suspected something for months. The kiss cam just made it public. Insiders close to the Carry-On family claim Meghan's private Instagram story, posted hours after the footage went viral, read, "Sometimes the real snake smiles in your face and sits in your husband's office." Subtle? Not really. Effective? Absolutely. It was a masterclass in public shaming. And according to people close to her, Meghan wasn't just venting, she was strategizing. Because unlike Kristen, Meghan knew how to play the long game. While Kristen was allegedly sending messages from burner phones and watering hydrangeas with tears in her eyes, Andy Byron was moving like a man in a hostage situation. According to multiple sources, within hours of receiving Kristen's final wave of messages, he contacted both his legal team and a crisis management firm known for handling political sex scandals and celebrity meltdowns. Word is, his instructions were simple. Clean it up, erase the mess, and make sure Kristen Kitt never sees another boardroom again. But insiders say it was already too late. The receipts were out there, and Kristen was already preparing her next move. Reports suggest Kristen wasn't just sitting in her garden waiting to be canceled. She was allegedly compiling a dossier. According to company insiders, she had access to documentation that could create serious problems for Astronomer. Emails referencing suspicious stock grants, Slack messages that could be interpreted as retaliation, even internal memos about questionable layoffs. One source described it as HR's nuclear football, the kind of file that, if dropped publicly, wouldn't just burn Andy, it could set fire to the entire company's leadership structure. And here's where it gets truly terrifying. Insiders say Kristen has hinted at leaking that dossier to multiple media outlets. If that's true, the Coldplay Kiss Cam might be remembered as the spark that lit the corporate bonfire of the year. Meanwhile, Andy's inner circle was already crumbling. Insiders claim several senior staff members at Astronomer began privately consulting lawyers just days after the video went viral, not because they were involved in the affair, but because Kristen's alleged screenshots named names. According to sources close to the company, some feared they'd be implicated in covering up misconduct or retaliating against whistleblowers. And while no formal charges have been filed, one anonymous executive was quoted saying, "The building isn't on fire, but we can smell the smoke." If Kristen follows through on her threats, we could be looking at class action lawsuits, regulatory probes, and shareholder revolts. And the public? They were eating it up. Kristen became the face of internet infamy overnight. Memes mocked her, influencers dissected her texts, and YouTubers posted breakdowns with titles like HR Gone Wild and Texts That Killed a Career. But behind the chaos, some began asking a different question. Was Kristen spiraling? Or was she playing chess? Sources close to her inner circle suggest she's far from done. One insider told us she still thinks she has a future. She's not hiding, she's regrouping. If that's true, then this isn't a scandal. It's a warning shot. And the final act is just beginning. By the end of that explosive 72-hour spiral, Kristen Kitt had gone from executive to exile, and Andy Byron, he was in damage control overdrive. Multiple reports confirm that Byron's LinkedIn was wiped, his public calendar cleared, and internal emails rerouted to legal counsel. Word is, he's now working remotely under personal leave while his legal team evaluates the risk of Kristen's alleged dossier going public. But according to industry insiders, the real fear isn't just reputational, it's regulatory. Sources say if Kristen turns over what she claims to have, the SEC, Labor Board, and possibly even federal investigators could start knocking. And that's before we even get to the shareholder lawsuits. Meanwhile, Kristen's spiral has shifted into something more strategic. Sources close to the situation say her tone in recent communications is no longer erratic. It's calculated. One message, reportedly sent from yet another new number, allegedly read, "You don't just cut someone out after they protected your company. If you want peace, you'll need to offer it." That doesn't sound like heartbreak. That sounds like negotiation. And while no formal settlement has been reported, insiders speculate that Kristen could be seeking a payout, hush money in exchange for her silence. Whether it works or backfires remains to be seen, but what's clear is this: Kristen knows what she has, and she's not afraid to use it. The broader media has begun to shift tone as well. At first, it was all memes and mockery, garden snake jokes, dramatic reenactments of the texts, and endless TikTok commentary. But now, commentators are digging deeper. Industry analysts are asking real questions about corporate power dynamics, the weaponization of HR, and what happens when private relationships cross into executive decision-making. According to one media consultant, this scandal wasn't just messy, it exposed how fragile company image management really is. And perhaps the biggest revelation of all, it didn't take a lawsuit, a whistleblower, or an investigation to bring it down. Just 15 seconds of kiss cam footage, and a woman who didn't know when to stop texting. As for Andy's wife, Megan Carry-On, she's emerged from the ashes like an accidental PR icon. Her sharp Instagram story, screenshot and circulated by major media outlets, her quiet unfollowing of Andy and scrubbing of public couple photos, noticed by everyone. According to people close to her, Megan has no intention of speaking publicly, but make no mistake, she's watching everything. And insiders suggest she's already consulted with divorce attorneys in Boston. So where does that leave us? One executive in hiding, one ex-HR director allegedly sitting on a ticking time bomb, and one industry on edge. Because if Kristen does release what she claims to have, this won't be a personal scandal anymore, it'll be a case study. And the question every CEO is asking themselves right now is chillingly simple. How many of my secrets are sitting in someone else's outbox?